Hey, this is the Unsafe Series for DrSeoiNage, and I think we're going to include drop sode too in the mix. We're not going to talk about based off of the Kodokan classification, but just like the mechanic of drop throw that commonly occurs. Before we continue, I just want to make a disclaimer that the whole Unsafe Series, we're going to make a wrap-up video about this, but the whole Unsafe Series is basically targeted towards recreational judokas, whether you compete recreationally or train recreationally. Obviously, those kind of people would take less risks versus people who are trying to make a national team, trying to do judo seriously, they would take more risks. But the whole point is to just educate you on the dangers, and then you have to make the decision yourself on what kind of training you want to do. Because drop DrSeoiNage is, or drop Seoi, or Seoi otoshi, we're just going to call it Seoi otoshi, or drop DrSeoiNage. It's basically one of the most common throws done at all levels of judo, just because of how easy it is. We talked about it like Tani Toshi. It's so easy. Doing standing throw is hard. It's low risk, high reward due to the scoring system. Not going to get into that. Many countries, especially in Japan, for junior high schoolers and younger, and also in the United States currently, as of this video, the USJF has banned double knee drop, mostly due to safety because of what we said.
Yeah.
And I have mixed feelings about that. I think, just like the other videos, I think it just needs to be taught more properly. But because most people don't teach it properly, they have to ban it, which makes sense, right?
Yeah. So one of the most common ways people get hurt doing drop throws, drop DrSeoiNage, drop Seoi otoshi is that they get dropped in their head first. And that happens, it's usually when it's under-rotated, when you throw the person over your head straight down. When you do it properly, you should rotate the person in the air so you put them onto their back. But sometimes you just go too fast, you don't go all the way in, and you just drop them straight down their head. Okay. So if I was to grab Anthony, I'm going to do the same side grip right here. I'm going to try to go as slow as I can to show him landing on his head. So I come inside here, I come inside, knees hit the ground here, I go straight forward, boom, Anthony lands on his head. Now you see how I came right here? I went down to my knees and I came straight right here. There was no way for Anthony to tuck his chin enough. His head's out straight. He's going to put all his weight onto there with my force. So one of the most common ways to do drop DrSeoiNage, or to be taught drop DrSeoiNage, is from Ippon Seoinage. So what people do is they just grab the arm, they trap it right here, and they just go straight down like a bow. Grab the arm, tuck right here to grab the arm nice and tight, and just go into the bow. So when I come here, I come right here into the bow, and throw him straight onto his head. Coming straight down on the person, not rotating him at all, spiking him. Now from a novice perspective, when it comes to beginners or kids, they're not going to have the reaction time that when they're being dropped down to spin out of it, tuck their heads and tuck their chins, that's where they're going to land on their heads, spiking them. Now for a competitive aspect on this, if I throw someone down head first, most people are going to land their head spin out of it, so they avoid getting a ippon or wazari or any kind of point being on them.
From the recreational aspect, as Juan said, one of the most common ways you get your head spike or your face plant is that the kids or the novice people don't have the reaction time to tuck their chin in time. Especially in your own dojo, just notice whether beginners do this. When people drop to their knees when they're practicing this, you see this. They're looking at the ground. They're not doing this, tucking their chin. They're just looking at the ground. So if he did this fast, I'm going to post my arm out and break my arm like that, or I'm just going to face plant or hit my head. Some people will argue hitting your head's not a big deal. It's part of the sport. But depending on how fast, how heavy, the landing could be kind of hard. And also, we all take concussion protocol stuff. So we know how those kind of throws affects kids a lot more than adults. And we should be protecting kids from that. So how do we avoid that? So one of the things we can do is basically teach beginners whenever they feel like they're off balance is to tuck their chin. You could start introducing that slowly, so you don't just like go full-on drop, and if they don't tuck their chin, it's too bad. Introduce it slowly and make sure they tuck their chin as soon as they feel like they're going off balance. Obviously, that wouldn't go well in a competitive, if you have a goal of competition, because you're basically starting to facilitate the roll into an ippon already.
Yeah.
But for recreational people, that's how you kind of protect yourself. The important point now comes to resistance, like in randori. Because if Juan does over-rotate, like I should be safe here if he does this drop seoinage properly. But if while he dropped, I knew he was dropping, and I go like this, you'll see now we're in an under-rotation because he can't rotate the whole way, and I'm strong enough to resist it. So if he continues to drive now, with this me resisting, I'm going to land head first. So you got to understand that if you resist a drop throw, it might not be his fault, because I've seen people blame people who drop, saying you under-rotated me and I hit the head, and it's just like, well, you also resisted.
Yeah, you blocked the throw, so
Yeah.
I had to, yeah.
So you have to understand the risk. If you resist the throw, you risk forcing it under rotation, and you might head spike. Okay, so let's assume he under-rotates me, right? Because he's new, or he is a visitor from a different dojo who never got taught how to do it properly.
Right foot, arms starting to come underneath, right? So 1, 2, 3.
So let's say he does that to me. How can I, as a recreational guy, protect myself? One, we already talked about it. Tuck your head early so you can facilitate the roll. But if he's still going to spike me on my head, then I basically don't want to post. This is the next thing. Another common way that arms get broken is we've seen, it doesn't happen as often, but we've seen people post their arms out and it gets twisted because they drive and turn for the score. So you post your arm out and twist it and it breaks. But what you want to do is basically do like a waiter hand kind of thing, and then wait for the drop to happen and spread the force of hitting the floor evenly across between your head and your hand. That minimizes the risk of the arm breaking, and also it's not as much force fully being taken by the arm or the head, sorry, neck anymore. It's distributed. So it would look like something like this if he were to under-rotate me. So here. Okay. So both my head and my arm hit, but it minimizes the force impact. And that's like if rolling through isn't a choice and he's like driving straight down at an angle where you can't avoid landing on your head. So you definitely don't want to reach and extend your arm out, and you don't want to just take it with your head. So the next logical thing is to spread it out between these two. One other way that's drop seoi can be dangerous is people usually just throw at like a straight line, or think of it that way. But if you look at competitive level, or people who are competing at a higher level, they would drive at a corner. So they would drop like this, and then they would drive me that direction, and then I'll land right on my shoulder first. So we actually had a student dislocate his shoulder that way at Winter Nationals.
Yeah.
From that. So what can you do at that point? This is where I would post. You might, again, the wrist transfers from your shoulder to your wrist and elbow. But I think these parts heal better, because shoulder is like a really complicated joint, and it heals never heals really well fully.
What are you talking about?
But these joints are kind of more safer. So I don't want to have my same idea as the head and the hand thing. I don't want my shoulder to take the full impact. I want this to post out to absorb some of the impact. So it would look something like this. It's not 100% safe, but it helps minimize the damage done to the shoulder. I forgot to record this part, but we forgot to talk about how to do drop seoinage properly. I'm not going to go into it in detail. Essentially, we already kind of talked about it. It's under rotation, so you don't want to drag just straight down. Even if you drag straight down, you need to like drive to the side for it to be effective anyway. I'm gonna just tell you go watch Hanpan TV's Seoi video. I'm not gonna link all of them here or talk about all of them, but there's two that I really recommend. One of them was about correcting national player Seoi, and the other one was just a general guide to Seoi. But they have a lot of Seoi videos, and I really, really recommend it. And if you haven't watched like the lies about basics of judo, just go watch that. You're also gonna see a bunch of competition clips of successful and in general very beautifully done drop Seoi or Seotoshi, and you can see all the athletes after bowing down, they all drive to the side and rotate their partner onto the side for the score. And in the best case, they don't hit their heads, but in some cases, you're gonna see there's resistance or just the angle that our partner lands on their head, kind of. But the common thread is they all drive to the side.
So another dangerous drop throw is drop sode. Now with drop sode, I'm holding my partner's arms right here, okay? When I hold his arms, he can't slap the mat. When I come inside right here and I pull hard, I can break his arm almost, doing a hyperextension to him, okay? He also, if I don't turn him enough, is gonna hit his head, all right? So I'm gonna demonstrate how to do it to a nice angle. Right here. One thing you do to protect yourself when it comes to this drop throw is that when you feel you're being under-rotated and you're being pulled over, is just to jump into it. So I'm gonna do the bad one again. I'm gonna grab him. I'm gonna drop all the way down to the ground right here, and then he's two.
All right, to summarize, the reason why drop throwers are so dangerous is usually because of under rotation, since we're dropping to our knees, and the uke is taught to pull downwards instead of pulling to the side. And also, usually people don't go in deep enough in between the legs, because when you go deep, it starts forcing uke to rotate. So it all comes down to under rotation. So you have to either minimize the impact safely with the things we talked about, or you jump into the throw, like we showed, to facilitate the roll. And then the danger to the arm, there's really not much you can do other than make sure you don't like resist in a way where you get your arm hyperextended, honestly.
Yeah.
And also your partner needs to be really careful with how they do the sode drop. Yeah. So, okay.
All right.